Welcome to the In My Opinion show with Ronald Berry Robinson and friends. Seen on the internet 24 hours, 7 days a week. To view, go to and type in capital letters RBRIMO and then go to videos. To view our extensive catalog of shows. You can also view the In My Opinion shows on Flint, Michigan Comcast Cable Channel 17 every Saturday at 6 and every Wednesday at 8:30. You can also view the In My Opinion show on Detroit, Michigan Comcast Cable Channel 68 7 days a week. I want to welcome our millions of viewers worldwide and especially my talented co-host. We have Mr. Henry Hatter.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Henry. We have Mrs. Jackie Wilson. Oh, Jackie
That's okay.
Williams.
I know who I am.
Okay.
Hi, Ron.
And we have the diva, Miss Denise Smith Ellen. Welcome all to the In My Opinion show.
Hi, Ron.
We're going to talk about immigration reform. President Obama took a historic legacy defining step when he announced a plan to protect millions of undocumented immigrants from deportation, infuriating Republicans but satisfying immigrants who have fought for years for such relief. The president's plan will allow undocumented immigrants who are parents of U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents, known as green card holders, to legally live and work in the country for a period of 3 years. Allow foreign workers trained in high-tech fields to stay in the country. The U.S. is a country of immigrants. Every man, woman, and child in the United States historically is an immigrant, even our Native Americans, who migrated when most of the world was connected by landmass. President Obama said he was forced to act because of Congress's inability to pass a bill to overhaul the nation's broken immigration systems. He also stated 30 years for such a bill is long enough. President Obama also stated recently the Republicans have had 6 years to pass a comprehensive bill but have sat on their hands. Obama's actions are moral and just. Historically, Alexander Hamilton, one of the signers of the Constitution, stated, determining the naturalization rule will leave discretion to the legislature. But most importantly, he didn't address if Congress refused to act, what procedures would occur. Madison, on the other hand, stated America is indebted to immigrants for her settlement and prosperity. Let's go with you, Denise. What do you think about the immigration situation and President Obama's executive order?
Well, I think it's timely. Personally, I think that if you're looking at people who have been in this country and are working and are not paying taxes, state, federal, local taxes, then we are missing a large percentage of income that could rightly be helpful to our economy. And I think, on the other hand, for those persons who are here and are fearful of being deported and are here who are not felons or doing unlawful acts, I think they should be given an opportunity, because I think you alluded to the fact that this country is a country of immigrants. Some forced immigrants, some not. But the idea is we are I don't necessarily want to call it a melting pot at this point, but I will say that we have enough diversity here in this country that I think there's room for all. So that's my position.
Okay, that's a great position. Jackie, what are your thoughts?
I'm actually on the line of Denise. You guys brought up some very good points, because if you look at the news, they missed a lot of good points that you guys just made, which was that if they have a criminal record, they are not considered for this. And I think people bypassed that because they were so angry with the bill. But I think if they have been here working and showing that they have been in good standing, I do think they deserve a chance, just like we have given everybody else a chance that has come here. So I think it's time, like she said, to have them pay into the economy being here, because a green card doesn't allow them to do that. But this would give them an opportunity to help the economy grow.
And also, too, with this act by President Obama, this is not just for Hispanics.
Right.
All right. This is for all immigrants. All right, that fit that criteria that he described in his message. So I want to dispel any notion that it's only for Hispanics, but it's for all nationalities that that have come here to the United States illegally and had children, which would become naturally civil. I mean, naturalized citizens. Mr. Hatter, what is your thoughts?
Well, first of all, we're a nation of laws. The laws are permanently set in boilerplate. And we're guided by a constitution. The Constitution says that people who are naturalized become citizens. But we can't have people coming across the border every time they want to get away from their land. You were quoting Hamilton and you were quoting Madison. That was then. This is now. We've become a very complex nation with many people. That our population is continuously growing. We're stripping out our resources. We have difficulty providing the wherewithal with the population that we have. But I will say for immigration, the people, Hispanics and Mexicans, provide a lot to this economy. Without them, we wouldn't have the quality of life that we do. And I think that immigration provides for Hispanics, it helps to normalize relationships between African Americans and Hispanics because it was not always very good. We were opposites. But I think that what he did here will repair some of the schism between Hispanics and African Americans. But to that end, I believe that what the president's done through executive order, Americans will catch up to, and we will normalize. The Americans as a whole will end up accepting what the president has done as part of the legal landscape of the law, just as they did with the American Affordable Care Act. Those kind of things will never leave the legal landscape. They're part of it. And for the first time, the president demonstrated that he was a real leader. He took it on the chin. He passed this legislation. He infuriated the Republicans. But by doing that, we still have to go back and look at, it's kind of dangerous to do that. And besides, if you don't have the opposing side making the case for immigration, generally the stuff gets chipped away by legislation further down the road. But I think in this case, the American people will accept responsibility for what the president's done and will normalize that over time. Just like Abraham Lincoln did. You wouldn't be sitting at this table had Abraham Lincoln not done a similar thing. The Emancipation Proclamation was a case where the President of the United States used an executive order to free the slaves.
In the southern states.
In the southern state. It doesn't matter where, but it became part of the legal landscape of the country.
Sure.
And there was Johnson and some of the others tried to reverse that. But the American people said no.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to keep it the way it is. Republicans and Democrats are only part of this picture until the American people decide that this should become a normal part of the landscape. Law. It will never be settled and will never become normalized except through that process. And as we go down the road, you will see that this no longer will become something that Republicans and Democrats will haggle over.
Well, that fits into.
But we should never do this as a normal practice. We have a constitution. We need to follow the Constitution.
Well, exactly, but that also fits into some more information that I want to share. Okay, the White House pointed to the actions of previous presidents, including Republican presidents Ronald Reagan and George Bush, who issued executive orders granting legal status to immigrants. In 1942, President Truman issued executive orders to desegregate the U.S. military. President Lincoln issued executive orders, the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing slaves in the southern states. These were moral decisions. Let's cut to the chase here. The Republicans know their power base is diminishing rapidly. Their gig is up. The demographics are changing, and in the next 20 years, white males will no longer hold any majorities in America, and that's why they are afraid of, and that's why they resist. That's why they resisted former Democratic President William Jefferson Clinton, and are putting up so much resistance to anything Democratic President Obama presents. In addition to immigration reform, see, it's more in my opinion, it's more involved than just immigration, reform. Okay, it goes to. I'll just read this a little bit further. This is also why Republicans has instituted voter restrictions in 27 states, governed by Republican governors and legislatures, that will surely hamper citizens' voting rights for African Americans and other minorities, students, white females, elderly. Their excuse, which is a damn lie, that there is rampant voter fraud. A recent study of millions of votes cast, it was determined by a government watchdog, only less than 10 votes cast were questionable. They probably were Republican votes.
Brian, it's dangerous to separate the white male from the constitutional government. That is dangerous. They need to be part of this whole mix of public policy development.
Then they need to get on. Then they need to get on the bus, Henry.
Well, they can't get on the bus because you want them to get on the bus. It's got to be. It's a natural and normal.
But you got to play
we're in
fair.
a divided,
Can I
we're in a
ask a
divided
question?
government right now. You
Can
know
I-
what I mean? The Democrats and the Republicans. Nothing is happening for the American public. All right.
But Ron,
Let me just finish this right here, please. Does anybody see the racism and abundant lies here? Racism is surely not in the best interest of anyone, governments or nations that believe in democracy. Democracy standards must cross and meet the criteria for all, whether it is genders, ethnos, morality, and equality.
I'm going to listen to Denise.
no, my question is towards you, Henry, because you had made
Yeah.
a statement early on when you were speaking about, I guess you were talking about Hispanics
Yeah.
and blacks being
Yes.
opposites.
Yes.
And I wanted you to expound on that because I'm trying to understand what you meant.
Well, I was told by a reliable source that gangs in California, and this is only one incident, they kill blacks and nobody ever investigated.
Okay.
And not only
Gangs.
that.
What gangs? Who you're talking about? Latino gangs?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But that's not all of it. We've had factions. We've had a divided relationship with Hispanics and the blacks for a long time.
And why
Been
is
in
that? Why is
I
that?
don't,
Do you
I don't
think?
know why. I don't know why it is. But did you know? I could go back and tell you that Hispanics, they are a small minority in the Michigan population, but they out-earn African Americans in Michigan. And most of their income comes from people who work in fields.
But see, that also too, that's, there's a lot of Hispanics that work in fields. There's a lot of other folk of color that work in fields too.
We
But there's
don't.
also Hispanic doctors,
Yeah.
nurses,
Not very many.
business people. There's a lot, Henry.
No, no.
Okay.
Maybe not in Michigan.
Okay.
Not in
Right,
Michigan.
right.
Maybe
Yeah.
not in Michigan.
Business folk, truck drivers, developers. I mean, it's a whole lot, and I think we gotta move away from this. This notion that when you see a Hispanic person, all right, okay, he or she's gotta be in the fields, okay, and you can't trust them. That's bullshit.
No,
No,
stereotypical
My
stuff.
point
You know what I
is that they work harder. They do work hard.
Well, that
no.
can't
when
go.
you put
Henry.
people in the field,
You got good
Hang
on,
workers
hang on.
all across,
Yeah.
all
Henry.
across.
Henry.
who does the state of Michigan mainly hire to work on highways? Or with who
Highways?
get contracts?
Highways?
The-
Yes,
the
highways.
lowest
It's
bidder.
a Hispanic.
The lowest bidder.
No.
That's who they hire.
I want you to check it.
No, the lowest bidder, whoever the
You're
lowest
arguing
bidder
things that
is.
you don't know yet, but you need
But
to
I want to
research
talk
that.
about something that Ron said, which was really good. And what he said was, because I was just watching that on a documentary, and what it said was that the Republicans is always a year ahead of our thinking. And this was really good because what it said was the reason why they're changing all of these voter laws is because in the last election, Obama couldn't have won without Hispanic vote. And they realize that if they make them citizens and they can vote, they know that it is going to devastate the polls because they'll have a right to vote where they couldn't before. And this is why they're doing all the different rules where you have to have ID and all of these different things is because they forecast where the population was high of the
Sure.
vote. And that's who they're hitting. It's statistics to prove it.
Yeah, but
And this is where they go. They're not hitting areas like Michigan was not one of them. So they're not hitting areas where Texas is one of them. They're hitting areas where vote was high in the Hispanic community. So they realize where their weak spots were, and that's where they're putting in different laws to
who puts in the different laws?
the ones, the governor, most of them are Republican governors.
But they have a legislature.
And
It does-
Republican
They have a
legislatures.
legislature. Hang on. They have a legislature. Laws are made by legislatures and Congress.
And there's so many
not by the
lawsuits
president or
because
governors.
they gave falsified information that said that there was a lot of fraud. They have found no fraud.
10 cases out of millions.
Yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
that was,
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
let me-
know what
can-
the
can I-
case
Can I
was.
just share this
Yeah.
with you? This was an article that I pulled up today, and I'll just read just a small portion here, and it's talking about the Republican coalition is older and whiter than Democratic coalition, and the people who turned out to vote in midterm elections are older and white than the people who turned out to vote in presidential elections. And then they provide a table here, and then, and the table's pretty self-explanatory. It talks about white aged 30 and up, and this is the percentage here. It's like 69%. Blacks aged 30 and up is 9.7%. This was in 2010. In 2012, 64.0, 10.8. So, I mean, numbers, they can lie, but overall, this is kind of like a base analysis
Yeah.
of what's going
Sure.
on here. And one of the things that happens typically, I mean, we could sit back and be, what they call Monday morning or Monday evening quarterbacks, armchair quarterbacks, and talk about what happened.
Sure.
But the bottom line is, we are remiss, whether, blacks, whether you are whatever aisle you're on, if we don't do what we need to do, because
Right.
these numbers are abysmal. I don't care how you cut it. The numbers
Absolutely.
speak. And so I'm saying, we just have to do a better job of turning out to vote. We have to get to the polls. We have to do our job. And then the people who we elect, then we have to help make them accountable. I mean, there's just no two ways about
You
that.
got to make them accountable. all
But
right?
Ron,
Not because they're your next door neighbor or your friend. What the hell are they doing for, what are they doing for, the districts or cities or whatever that they're from?
Right.
Ron, when you go in to vote, do you have to show your ID?
Do I?
Well, yes.
Sometime?
I have to show mine all the time.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it?
Well, the thing is you don't have to. See, that's another misnomer. You don't have to have a pictured ID to vote. You don't have to have a state ID to vote. All right?
What?
If you don't have
No, you
ID,
don't. But you do have to have ID.
No.
Yes, you
All
do.
you have to do is sign an affidavit.
Or you
Well,
have
you
your
may
voter
want to.
registration.
You have to have some indication
Right.
that you
Your
are who you
voter's
say you are.
registration is
Okay.
fine.
Ron, I don't believe that we should allow people to vote without IDs.
We've done it for years.
Yeah. You must show who you are. That protects the integrity of the democracy.
I personally don't necessarily have a problem with that. But again, now with your voter ID, to have to show your picture ID, that's overkill.
But see,
That's
this
overkill.
thing, the Democrats have been saying it for a long time. When I was chairman of the party, they'd say,
The
"Well,
Democratic Party, Henry?
no, Republican Party."
No.
They would say And I remember, you guys remember the mayor, and he said that Republicans were intimidating black voters. I am the chair of the Republican Party, okay? And I said to them, and I took the case to the Journal and said, I want you, the first time that we have a criticism that the Republicans are intimidating black voters, I want to be there. I want you to make an issue of it. So the problem was that Republicans didn't go into black areas. They wouldn't, they would never spend their money in black areas where they don't get, only going to get 5% of the black vote. They won't do that. And so that whole situation went away. They couldn't prove it in Flint, Michigan, that Republicans were intimidating black voters because there was no such thing. That was a trumped up thing to try to embarrass the Republican
Well,
Party.
based upon what you just
here's,
said.
here's what, as I recall it, because I remember going to the voting pool,
And
voting booths,
I
rather,
talked to the
and I can recall
NAACP about
there were people who had not normally been at the sites who were there, and they were standing over the people who were signing folks in, and that was intimidating. Now, we don't know who those persons were. People made the assumption that
You
they
can
were.
have challengers at the
Yes,
polls.
you can. You
Yeah.
can. But this is what I'm saying. All
Don't make
along,
it-
the process hadn't been like that. And for that to occur the way it did, and then there were all these other things that were being said.
You were reading something into that wasn't there. That was
I
outrageous.
said- I just said
Republicans
that.
don't care about going into black neighborhoods that don't yield any votes. 5% out of
Well, they don't have to
100.
go in there if they make a rule like the man that was down south. I'm not sure if it was Mississippi. He voted every year, and I think he was 89. And he couldn't vote this year because he doesn't drive. He doesn't have an ID that's updated. And because he doesn't have a valid ID, they didn't let him vote this year. So this was the first time he didn't vote, and since he was able to vote. And he cried because he didn't have money to spend on an ID. He said he had to choose between voting and eating.
Well, he could have used an absentee vote.
Well, he probably wasn't aware of.
And
it,
so who told
possibly.
him that?
Well, the Democrats should be telling him that. You guys should
So,
be telling him
so
that.
I don't have to have an ID, but I can just do an absentee ballot and I can be
Yeah.
anybody I want to be.
Yeah, you can go, you have to have, there's the way you
Pretty
do
much
it,
more or
but you
less.
have to qualify to get the absentee vote. I voted absentee this time.
So when you qualify, so I wonder what he would have had to do to qualify.
Well, all you have to do is go to the township or the city government.
I didn't
and
say absentee
request it.
vote. I said a provisional ballot.
Well,
There's two different things,
Yeah.
aren't there?
Yes.
no, but she was talking about voting at the polls.
That's what I'm talking about too. You
Um,
walk in the poll, you don't have ID. Okay, give me an affidavit.
You should
I
never go unprepared.
I'm saying,
That's-
but I'm
Our
saying,
government
I'm
requires
saying we know, but there's a
intelligent
whole lot of
voters.
people out there that don't know.
But
right.
why don't they know?
And I'm telling people
You
out
got
there
people
in
signing them up
land,
for it, Ron.
when you vote, you don't need ID.
But
or,
you-
or pictured ID.
The
If you
Democrats
don't
and
have
the
it, you
unions-
get an affidavit and you can vote.
The
And
Demo-
if they won't allow you, then you get with the election officials.
But, Ron, the Democrats and the unions and church officials, and probably many of you, go out and encourage people to sign up to vote.
And you don't?
Republicans don't do
And you
that.
don't?
I take
Oh,
it-
you
and I
don't,
take-
you don't encourage people to vote?
No,
And
we
I
don't.
take exception
You don't have to, huh?
No, we don't do that.
Mr. Header, I take exception to what you were
We
saying.
don't
Republicans
have
don't go.
in bands and do that.
Republicans don't go into black neighborhoods, all right?
They
Because
go
don't-
where they're
don't-
most
they don't-
likely
they don't
to get
but
the
a
kind
few
of vote
votes. That's
response that they
racism,
want.
in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
So you
And
pick and
it's created
choose.
by those people who live in those areas.
So my area is not of your,
You are not going to find a Republican in your area coming in and barging on you if you don't want them there. They're not going to come in.
okay.
That's a rule of thumb.
Well, Republicans out there, you can come into my neighborhood anytime.
Well, it's about
All
time
right.
you invited them in.
And Democrats and every other party, you can come into my neighborhood anytime and
Thank you,
and
Ron.
talk to the people.
We're growing now.
Okay.
And for Mia in Utah, I hope she sees this program. If not, I'll send her a copy of it so she'll know that
Who?
Mia What's Mia's last
I
name?
don't know her last name, but she was a Republican.
Yes, she was.
She won.
She won.
Oh, okay.
And so did the gentleman in North Carolina won.
Mm-hmm.
He was a senator. And we're proud of it. Things will change. The country will change and we will rise.
Mhm.
I hope so.
Well,
Okay,
I hope
all
so.
right. Yeah.
Mia Love was her name.
yeah, Mia Love. And I'm going to invite her here, and I hope for a fundraiser for the Tuskegee Airmen. And I want you guys to come and meet her. She's
Absolutely.
She's a sweetheart. You'll love her. She's smart, too.
It's very important,
Yeah.
Great.
She
Great.
looks like you, Denise.
really. Okay, I really have to see Mia now.
Yes, she is. She's about as tall as you.
Any last remarks?
Well, I'm glad, Ron, that we're growing a little bit. We need to have these knockdown, drag-out fights to discern ourselves about the truth.
Well, people need
But
to
the
know the
country
truth
is
and stop
changing.
straddling the fence, you know what I mean, and bullshitting the public out here.
And
They
you
got to
see-
tell the people what time it is.
And you
All
see,
right?
Ron, the reason that we're getting better is because the American people sees that agenda took it away from the Republicans and Democrats. That's why you had all of these changes that you're seeing.
With that, this has been a very wonderful conversation, but we unfortunately bring this very important and topic to a close. But until next time, this is Ronald Berry Robinson and friends saying, stay focused.